For more on this, Akshay Deoras joins us on the program. He is a research scientist at the National Center for Atmospheric Science and the Department of Meteorology at the University of Reading. Thank you very much for joining us today, sir. So to get started, I presume that different things can cause heat waves. So what's behind this one that we see across southern Europe?
The basic thing is that there is a high pressure region sitting right over the Europe. And what this high pressure is doing, that it is causing clear sky conditions. It's also preventing formation of rainfall. And whenever things like this happen, it leads to clear skies, and then that leads to high temperatures coming up. And on top of that, we have got effects of climate change, which is making temperatures of this range more and more likely.
So, sir, people tend to, like simple explanations, but I would like to ask you how easy or even realistic it is to link individual heat waves to anthropogenic climate change. How do you see the relationship between the two?
Yeah, so see, heat waves need certain type of weather conditions to occur. It's not that simple that we just have climate change and there's going to be heat wave, right? We don't see heat waves throughout the year. This is the reason why we need to have a perfect weather setup for that. But what climate change is doing is that it's basically increasing the possibility of seeing temperatures of this magnitude and the persistence of high temperatures that we are seeing. So we need meteorology for heat wave, and on top of that, we have got climate change making things more severe.
As a meteorologist, do you think that these heat waves are increasingly difficult to predict?
No, our models are doing quite well. So we are now in a situation where we get really good quality of weather forecast for about a week or even 2 weeks ahead. So for this particular heat wave, forecasts are very clearly indicating that it's going to be a severe one.
Now, Europe is already, as I mentioned earlier, the world's fastest warming continent. Is it doing enough to mitigate or to adapt to the effects of these warming temperatures, heat waves in particular?
That's right. If you look from 1991, Europe is really heating quite a lot at the rate of about 0.5 degrees Celsius per decade, and that's quite alarming. I think in terms of mitigation, we still need to beef up because temperatures are increasing at a faster rate. And if you just see the infrastructure that we have across Europe, for example, our houses are not designed to really lose the heat. They are designed to retain the heat. And that's a big factor. And on top of that, even if we have got proper weather forecasts and proper weather warnings, but we still get a lot of people dying, which is connected to the fact that people don't really take weather warnings seriously. So we need to really do work on many fronts.
In that sense, what are some of the policy priorities or policy changes that you think should be prioritized rather looking forward?
So I think on the basis of just reducing greenhouse gas emissions, that's the very first thing that needs to be done, because the whole cause of climate change and global warming is this increasing emission of greenhouse gases. So that needs to cut down. But that will take time. It needs unanimous action from different countries of the world, including Europe. We need to also beef up mitigation measures, like I said, which basically includes things like compensating people to stay at home if they are working outside, because that's always a big challenge, right? People have to go out to work to earn bread and butter. But if you ask them to stay indoor, how would they get their bread and butter? So that's one thing required. And we also need to step up our vigilance system in terms of monitoring health conditions across people. So I think these three things are really required for the first few years.
As a final question for you, sure, there seems to be a tension between potentially life-saving adaptations to things like severe heat waves and working to prevent climate change from getting worse. People, for example, may increasingly need things like air conditioning to make hotter temperatures livable, though things like air conditioning obviously in turn contribute to global warming. So how can policymakers find balance between these two realities?
Yeah, it's a good question. And it's always the hardest part of this because, we know that air cons really work very well. You just switch on an air con, it would just take a few minutes to cool down your houses. But because you have got more air cons, and if the energy is coming from burning fossil fuels, then that's going to feed back on increasing climate change. I think we need to focus on redesigning our houses in such a way that we would not require air cons to that extent. We would basically rely on measures, for example, using some natural techniques to cool down our houses, improving ventilation. And even if we have to use air cons, then they need to be made more and more energy friendly, or that they would be not really requiring that much of power. So I think if that things are done, then we would be in a better position to stop the positive feedback between consuming energy and climate change.
Akshay Deoras, thank you so much for coming on the show today.